right, welcome to our next lesson in the statistics unit. What we're going to be focusing on our next several lessons is taking data and displaying it graphically somehow. So today we're going to look at dot plots. And it simply is a way to graphically show your data on a number line. We see an example of it right here. You've probably seen dot plots in elementary school. Something to remember is that each dot that you see in a dot plot is actually a number from your data set. The nice thing about a dot plot is it lets you see patterns. For example, I can see where most of my data is clustered between 3 and 7. Or I could see if there was a gap in my data. For example, nothing between the 7 and the 10. That would be a gap. You can find all the different items that we've talked about, mean, median, mode, range, using a dot plot. Some of them are, maybe it's a little bit more helpful to find, like the mode and the range. Really easy to see on a dot plot. The mean, it can be used to find the mean. Also the median, maybe not the easiest, but it does work. So we'll look at some more examples specifically here in a moment. When you're answering questions about a dot plot, kind of two types of questions. Maybe you'll be given the dot plot like you see right here and asked to find specific pieces of information, such as what's the mean, what's the mode? Or you can take a data set, for example, these grades on the last math test, and you can create a dot plot. So for example, I see an 85 right here in my data set. So I would simply have my dot above 85. All right, let's practice some examples here. So here's my dot plot. Notice it has a title. This is pizza eaten by students. And down here, I notice this is the number of pizza slices. So the first question I'm asked is, what is my data set? I don't see that long string of numbers, but I can figure it out just by looking at all my dots. So is 0 a part of my data set? Well, I don't have a dot above there, so no. The first time I see a dot is the 3. So 3 is in my data set. 4 is in my data set. In fact, there are 1, 2, 3 4s. I move on to the 5s, and notice I have a lot of those. I actually have 6 of those. Okay, so this is all part of my data set. I have 4 6s. Kind of running out of room here, sorry. I have 1 7, and I have a 10. So that long string of numbers there is my data set that I got simply from looking at my dot plot. All right, we can find the mean. Well, how do you find the mean? Remember, you're adding all the numbers in your data set. Well, if I add all these numbers up here, I get 86. And then you have to divide by the total number of data points you have. Well, if I count my dots, I find I have 16 data points. So my mean is 5.375. We could go ahead and round that, say to 5.4 for our mean. That means the average number of pizza slices that students ate, 5.4. It's a lot of pizza to eat. Okay? I can also find the median. Now, remember, the median is simply the number in the middle. So, oops. Maybe this isn't the easiest way to find the median, but it can be done. For example, I should point out, one thing we're not looking for, you're not going to look at your number line down here and find the number in the middle. It's the number in the middle of your data points. So 3 is my first data point, that's the smallest. My largest was 10. So I'm working my way towards the middle. Cross off, cross off. I notice I don't have just one number in the middle, I have 2. So I have a 5 plus a 5, which of course is 10. I divide that by 2, and I see my number in the middle is 5. Okay, that's my median. How about the mode? Remember, I said the mode is really easy to find. Remember, the mode, M-O, is the number that shows up the most. Well, which number do you see the most? Obviously the 5. And finally, the range, that's your largest number minus your smallest number. But be careful, it's not 11 minus 0. I don't have any data above the 11 or above the 0. The largest one where I have data is the 10 minus 3. So my range is 7. All right, let's look at another example. Okay, grades on the last math test. So you have a data set up here. You make your points. So for example, the first number I see in my data set is 85. So I would simply put a dot above the 85. And I've actually gone ahead and filled in all the dots from our data set on our dot plot here. All right, so to find the mean, again, I would add up all the numbers in my data set, or all the numbers where I see dots. When you do that, and here would be a great time for you to pause and try to do it yourself, okay, and then check the answers. So this comes to 1,352. And remember, we're dividing by however many dots we see up here, which is 15. And you should get the mean is equal to 90.1. That is our mean or our average on our test. Okay? How about the mode? Again, really easy to find the mode. Where do you see the most dots? Well, above the 90. Okay? Notice our mean and our mode are pretty close together. How about our median? That's the number in the middle. So again, we're just going to cross off until we get to the middle. Crossing off my biggest and the smallest until I work my way to the middle. And I have one number in the middle, which was 90. Okay, remember your mean, your mode, and your median are kind of measures of center, which is pretty accurate here. Now our range, a little bit different, it measures the variation. So my largest number in my data set was 100. Somebody made 100 on the test. The lowest score, it looks like, was an 83. So my range, we had a range of scores over 17 points, from the lowest up to the highest. All right, now it's your turn to do some practice and then take a formative check.